Coming to the stage. Good morning. How we doing this morning? Hey. It's Monday. How's everybody doing this Monday morning? Ready to see what the market has for us this week? It's FOMC week. So we get to see about our rate cut, if there is to be one. Hi, Eisterful. How we doing? Yes, is there? I'm thinking there probably is going to be a rate cut, but what happens next is the interesting piece, is what happens after the rate cut. What happens after? After the morning after. That's what we need to know. What happens after the morning after? Because, I won't even go there further. Okay. Morning, Deborah. How we this morning? Everybody should be checking out the chart in front of you. I let the chart open and run a little bit before I came back to the session. I was pouring the water into my teacup so I could get my tea finished up before I came to the call. Come on, my phone doesn't want to. It's plugged up to the charger, but it's going in and out. Okay. All right. There we go. So we see that we're at 68.77 this morning, which is almost where SPX closed on Friday. It closed on Friday at 68.70, if I remember correctly. But let's go take a look. Don't have to depend on memory. We can go right back and look for ourselves and see what was SPX. What did we close at on Friday? 68.70. We closed at 68.70 on Friday. If we look at the last hourly candle, closed on a nice little hammer, right, on Friday. And if we look at the daily candle, had a whole lot of wick up here at the top, but went and closed up almost of this fair value gap, not really all of it, but there was a gap here that was from Friday that I won't say not a real gap. A fair value gap and a volume gap are two different things, but there was a gap here that was from October the 29th to the 30th. Well, I actually went from the 29th, to the 30th, but it got closed a little bit, and finished being closed on Friday right here. So after SPX ran up and finished closing that gap, went up as high as 68.95, it came back and closed down at 68.70, but it had a lot of pretty good little amount of up and down. The range for Friday, the low was 68.58 and the high was 68.95. So about a 40-point range. About a 40-point range on Friday total, but the open and the close was within 4 points. 68, 66, and 68, 70. So within 4 points was the open and the close, even though it went about 40 points on the whole day, right? There was that. So we can take this gap off though, because that gap got filled by Friday's price action, right? So this was I basically call this a doji. 4 points, it falls in doji category, but it's on the lower portion of this candle. So that kind of gives a little bearish action, especially with all this big wick at the top. The highest we've been up here is 69.20, I believe. That's the highest it's been. The weekly high for last week was 68.95. Previous weekly high was that 69.20 and 69.10. So there is some more upwards movement, but this last Friday, again, nothing ever, I'm just talking, not really giving any investment advice because I'm not an investment advisor. I'm just talking about what I see. And the way we closed on Friday kind of gives a little more of a a little more bearish lean, even though there is room to go back where we were, but it's still looking like it's a little bit of a little gap that was left behind from Thursday to Friday's pre-market, that little bit of price action, a little bit of area here from 68.57 to 68.58 still needs to be closed, because that's still a small gap that's unclosed. And SPX likes to clean up behind itself. So what happens there remains to be seen, but SPX likes to clean up after itself. Okay. That's SPX. I want to go back to SPX 500. We can see what kind of action we had overnight last night. Take us back to a smaller time frame, and we can see when market opened last night, what did it do? Not a whole lot. If you see here from the 8th here, I'll stretch it out so we can see, but it didn't do a whole lot last night. It opened here around 68.70, which is where it closed on Friday. It went up as high as 68.84, about 14 points, and it's 68.78, so it's right in the middle of that. So not done anything too drastic. We're above the moving averages at this point. This is the 200 period. It's above that. And the other moving averages that's a 100. It's above that. So it's kind of dancing around up there, waiting for the market to open. Again, we're about an hour, a little bit less than an hour away from the market opening. And yeah, let's go see what's on our list. Hey, Paco, good morning. Let's go see what's on the horizon. The VIX is at 1622 this morning. 16.22 is the VIX this morning. And how the Fed follows this week's hawkish cut is far from certain. Near total conviction for a rate cut at this week's meeting puts the focus on what happens in 2026. So basically it says we're pretty sure that there's going to be a rate cut this week, but what happens after that, right? U.S. stock futures steady as big Fed week kicks off. Just know that the rate cut is probably being priced in. So even though people usually expect a big move, which a lot of times there is volatility that comes as a result, but it's probably being priced in already. No shot there, right? Everybody anticipates it and says, yeah, we're going to put that in there. So you can, trade what you see, as I always say. How Netflix $72 billion deal for Warner Brothers caught Wall Street off guard. I think I mentioned that last night. China's trade surplus tops $1 trillion for the first time. Trade surplus. So I guess y'all can't send it off all the places, huh? Want IBM to buy Confluent for $11 billion. I'm not sure who Confluent is, but the Confluent stock soars. CFLT. The stock has soared because IBM is buying them. Traders dump big tech and load up laggards in the year-end switcheroo. Year-end switcheroo. Bond market reaction to the Fed rate cut has been highly unusual. We're going to have bond auctions happening this week. The 10-year and the 30-year bond auctions are happening this week. Those do generally cause some volatility in the market. So we'll talk about those dates here, the days that they have those. Trump says Netflix Warner deal may pose antitrust. That's the word I was trying to think of on Friday, was antitrust. I remember I kept saying that I thought two companies getting together, and there was a word I couldn't think of. And I think somebody said that it was a monopoly, but I was trying to think of the word, and the word is antitrust. Trump says it may cause a problem. We'll see, right? Wall Street's Yardeni ends 15-year tech bet as rivals Circle Mag 7. What else do we have up here? What's it? Structures experimental pill shows 11% weight loss in the studies. All these different weight loss drugs are coming out. It's kind of scary, a little bit scary. We do want with the magic pill, the magic thing, but what we don't have is enough. I would say enough data. We don't have enough data to say what happens long term. What happens long term when we take these things? What happens long term? Okay, let's move on from here. What are the long-term effects of these different drugs on the body? Dow futures are up, S&P futures are up, NASDAQ futures are up. Not significantly, like Dow futures are only up 15, S&P futures up 11, NASDAQ futures up 74. Oil is red, 10-year bonds are virtually flat. Let's see what there's many news here. Berkshire's Todd Combs, investment lieutenant for Buffett and Geico CEO, is leaving for JP Morgan. You're leaving Berkshire Hathaway. You need to stay because Buffett's leaving. Don't be leaving and going someplace else. He was the investment lieutenant to Buffett. Wonder why you leaving if Buffett's leaving. You need to stay in place. They need you, buddy. Berkshire Hathaway is on track to lag behind the S&P 500 in Buffett's last year as CEO. That may be why they asking him to go on. You didn't make sure that we did it this year, so you might need to go and find someplace else. India's largest airline operator sees shares tumble after thousands of flight cancellations. Well, is that their fault? Ray Dalio says Middle East is becoming a Silicon Valley of capitalists. I believe that. Okay, let's go see what else. Europe, what's happening over in Europe? Stock 600 and DAX and the FTSE Milano are all green. FTSE and CAC are both red, kind of barely, very, very barely red. Stock 600 is barely green. So it's kind of all kind of unchanged, kind of flat here. ASX 200, Nifty 50, and Hang Seng are all red. Nikkei and Shanghai are all green. Nifty 50 and Hong Kong are both really red. So keep that in mind. When the markets that run in ahead of us are significantly one way, we follow behind them. So we've got to keep that in mind that these markets are all intertwined. They are all intertwined, okay? Crypto, Bitcoin is at 91,000. It was at 89,000 last night. Ethereum, 3134. Solana, Dogecoin, and XRP are all green. Those are all green, okay? Let's look at the meetings for this week. Hey, Janae, good morning, girlie. Monday, there's nothing on Forex Factory for today, but we'll check investing.com, see what's over there, because sometimes they have different things on their list. Tomorrow, we have JOLTS job openings is going to be our red folders, and the ADP weekly employment change is going to be our red folder. That one's tentative, but it shows up tomorrow. This 10-year bond auction, though it shows yellow folder, it says, the bond auction does play in with that whole rate cut thing. So this probably should be at least in orange. So keep that in mind. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock is going to be the 10-year bond auction. It will cause volatility and can move the market. Wednesday is where we're going to get the FOMC statement about the rate cut et al. All that goes with that. The press conference happens at 2:30. So that's tomorrow at 2 and 2:30. There's a few other things. The crude oil inventories is also Wednesday, not tomorrow, Wednesday. Thursday morning before market opens, we get the unemployment claims, and the 30-year bond auction is also on Thursday. And then Friday, we got FOMC members speaking, okay? So Tuesday, we've got job stuff. Wednesday, we've got FOMC stuff. And then Thursday, we've got unemployment, okay? Put those on your trading calendar. As far as investing.com for today, we've got 3-month bill auction, 6-month bill auction, 3-year note auction. And we've got the New York Fed 1-year consumer inflation expectations, kind of 2 stars. So a little bit at 11 o'clock. Nothing that's significant there. Nothing significant there. Let's go look at some earnings. We got a few earnings that are anticipated for the week. I don't know if I said, hey, Tanya, I just saw you. Hey, girlfriend. Earnings for this week. Toll Brothers is going to be after market closes. Frisia, Uma, Compass Minerals, and Mama's Creations. Tomorrow morning, we've got Camel, Cell Point Academy, AutoZone, Cognite, Arcit, Ollie's, Ferguson, Korn Ferry, and G3. Tuesday after close, GameStop. GameStop is still doing its thing. AeroVironment, Cracker Barrel, Casey's Braze, Lakeland, Dave & Buster's, Genesis, and American Outdoor Brands. Wednesday morning, Chewy, Photronics, UEC, which is a uranium energy. Interesting there. Energy with uranium. This energy thing is something to keep our eyes on, right? Energy is something you got to keep our eyes on because alternate sources of energy is something that we will have to continue to watch, right? REV, Vehicles for Life, JGO, look like Momo, DAK, or Daktronics, VersaBank. Wednesday, ding, 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 after close, Oracle, probably going to be anticipated. Anticipated earnings is going to be Oracle, I will speculate, all right? Adobe, Synopsys, Planet, Amtech, Electrovaya, Oxford, Nordson, Skillsoft, and DLH. All those are Wednesday. Also, Thursday morning, Sienna, Manchester United, Hooker, Vera Bradley, Lovesac. That's all Thursday morning. Ding, ding, ding. Thursday after close. Broadcom. Dun, 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 Broadcom. AVGO is going to be Thursday after the market closes. Lululemon, Costco, probably anticipated as well in the consumer staples space. I guess Costco will fall in the consumer staples space. RH, Netscope, Quanex, Mytech, and Kestra. And then Johnson Outdoors is going to be Friday morning. Okay. So a couple of things in earnings this week that may, be what people may be waiting for. Oracle, Costco, Broadcom. Those are the three I can think of. The uranium energy, that one seems a little interesting. I may have to look a little further into that. That one is there as well. Okay. Let's go see what Adam had to say this morning. If you aren't following me over on LinkedIn, you should follow me over there. I got a few followers, kind of growing my LinkedIn over there. I do put a different kind of content on LinkedIn. It's a lot more educational, a little more long form content. But if you're on LinkedIn, go over and give me a follow. Hey, Wink. All right. So let's go look and see what Adam had to say this morning. Where's my mouse? My mouse. There we go. Adam says, grind up continues in SPX. As warned, 3 p.m. Friday, hold your runner. 68.52 reclaim, triggered long Friday with 68.60, 68.69, 68.81, and 68.85 as your targets. We hit 68.85, back tested 68.60 on Friday at 350, and we're back up again. Plan today. Put this on your charts. 68.65. Nope, 68.85. I have to lean in. 68.85. Let me fix that. I know how to fix this. Okay. If I make it bigger, there we go. 68.85, 68.91, and 69.02 are up next. 68.85, 68.91, and 69.02 are up next. 68.69 is support, but it is weak now. You will dip below 68.60 and 68.49 to 51 below. If you go below 68.60, and you can go down to 68.49 to 51. That's what's below there. Okay. Put these things on your chart so that way when the price starts going in those directions, you kind of have levels to look at. So now we talk about Adam. Who is Adam and why do we pick his numbers? Out of all the people who do stuff on the internet, why would we pick what Adam has to say? Well, we look at Adam. First of all, Adam is a level-to-level trader of the ES, which ES is what trades futures and goes all night. And he trades level to level. He shows where the supports and resistance are level to level. And we can follow that. We take those numbers and translate them to SPX because that's what we trade is SPX. All right. So these numbers really help provide some guidance. Of course, we're sellers. So I'm looking to see where price won't go. And if price is going to go to these levels, I'm looking to see where would it potentially go to these levels and maybe reverse? What is the outer bound levels that it's going to? That's what I'm looking to see when I'm using Adam's numbers. Okay. The difference between ES and SPX is 8 points right now. That gap between those two is still shortening and smalling up. It's still closing. So soon when the nomenclature changes on the ES, it will widen again. But at this point, it's about 8 points. So if you're watching Adam's tweets, subtract 8 points from his numbers if you want SPX. If you're trading XSP, you should look at 684 all the way up to 691. Between 684 and 691, those are your outer bounds. Those are your outer bounds if you're trading XSP, okay? Those are your outer bounds you can look at. Gotcha. Let's look at our trades list for next week, or this week, actually. I was talking about it yesterday. Trades list for this week. We've got Amazon, Google, Palantir, Starbucks, Snow, SPY, and UNH on the put credit spread side. And we've got NVIDIA, Palantir, PayPal, Starbucks, Snow, and UNH on the call credit spread side. Notice I mentioned 4 stocks that are on both sides. They're on both sides. And that's because they're in a trend that is neutral. They're in a neutral trend. Maybe they're neutral because they're turning direction. Maybe they're neutral because they're just consolidating. Either way, we use the 50-period moving average to determine the trend, and their trend is showing neutral. All right. So you can trade both sides, put credit spread, call credit spread, or you can just pick one and go with that. I looked at the Palantir trade last night. Actually looks pretty good. Maybe one I might consider entering for myself because I actually liked it and liked the premiums that it was paying. And Palantir, you see Palantir and NVIDIA right there about the same price. I remember, boy, it's been several years back now. We first started trading when Palantir first was starting to come out. We were trading Palantir with cash and cure puts. It was down in the $18, $20 range. And now it's almost $200. Lord of mercy. Should have held on a little bit longer. Should have held on. So this is our trades list for the week. If you follow me on any social media, you've probably already seen this. If you get my email, you've already seen it. And if you haven't already seen this and you're following me in those places, you need to be watching a little closer, or you need to go ahead and make sure that you're following me in all the places to make sure that you see all the content that I put out, not just here on YouTube, but I put out on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, all the places. Okay, I'm in all the places. Yeah. Yeah, you remember we did Palantir IPO? We was doing Palantir way back in God. Yeah, we were doing Palantir way back. Yes, we were. Before we run to the charts, which we're going to next, I'm telling you, we're starting copy trading this week. We're starting copy trading this week. If you've already signed up, then great. If not, and you want to jump on board, you can. Last week, copy trading made $215. The account that I'm using to copy trade in made $215. Did y'all hear me? Last week, the account that I'm using to copy trade in made $215. That's trading 1 to 2 contracts a day. I made $215. That would be passive for the people who are copy trading, because all your account's going to do is just copy it. You think you could use an extra $200 and do absolutely nothing for that extra $200, but connect your account to somebody else? What you think? Is that a hearty hell yes? Yes, I think you could use an extra $200, especially in these streets these days. You could use an extra $200 for doing nothing but connecting your account. So that's something that we're doing. All righty. Yeah, you can. We're going to continue to enroll people and subscribe people in copy trading. We're starting this week. You can wait and continue to let me tell you about the profits, or you can come on and join and you can look at your own profits. All right. The link is running underneath there. There's a whole bunch of people who have already signed up, and I'm not trying to encourage FOMO, but I will also say, though I'm not trying to encourage FOMO, I'm also saying if a whole bunch of people, and it ain't like 10 or 20, have said, I'm getting ready to ride because I'm just going to let you trade it for me and I'm just going to enjoy my passive profits. If they say that, you think they might know a little something you don't know? It's definitely a hearty. So an extra $200 a week. Extra $200 a week, you think you could use it? Extra $200 a week, extra $800 a month. You think you could put it to use? That's a car note for some people. If you trying to live big time, that's an extra nice little car note. A car note, not a car note. That's a car note. Yes, an extra car note. That's the light bill, the water bill, the gas bill too, especially because energy right now is crazy, and it's going to be a cool winter. It's going to be cool because it's already started. It's going to be a cool winter. So, yeah, you got a couple $1,000 and maybe you got them laying around, but I I also expect that people got money sitting in places that they act like they don't, but move some stuff out of some of them 401ks into another brokerage account. If you move it from broker to broker, you shouldn't incur too many fees. Maybe there's some, but if you move it from broker to broker, it won't be as much of a fee. But a couple $1,000, $2,000, move it from one place to the other, move it in Tradier, and let's trade it. Let somebody you're looking at, or at least you know, trade it, because y'all letting people trade the money anyway. You don't know them, but maybe you're convinced they maybe got some certifications that allow them to trade the money. I don't have any certifications, just so you know. I don't. I'm not even trying to pump it like I've got it all together. But I'm saying you at least can look at me and see me. The people who trading your money in that 401k, you ain't never seen them. Never seen them. Okay, so let's look at the indices before we land this plane. SPY, let's make it a little bit bigger. SPY closed on Friday at 685.66. It's currently at 686.84. So it's a couple dollars, $1 and some change up from where it closed on Friday. A little bit of a gap open is going to happen on SPY unless something changes in the next 30 minutes. All right. Little bit of a gap up. It is over the moving averages at this point. Let's see what we closed like on Friday. Looked a lot like SPX closed on Friday. A doji. A 2 up, close at a 2 up. Time frame continuity showed us with the bullish continuation. The gap that was down here did not get to be fully filled, so there's a little bit of a gap below. It's a lot of wick on the top though, so it did fill the gap that was also left back in October. Lot of wick at the top, so it may want to fill the gap at the bottom first before it goes on up some more. Triple Q, similar situation on the daily chart, still has a gap above it, has some gap below it, looks like almost like a shooter. Got a lot of wick at the top. More of the body is toward the bottom. It also has a gap below Triple Q. Below it closed on Friday at 625.59, currently at 627.60, so about $2.50 up from where it closed on Friday. So a gap up open is impending unless something happens in the next 30 minutes. Okay, let's look at IWM. IWM on Friday. IWM on Friday was a 1. It was an inside candle. Inside being it was inside of the previous candle. Doesn't show a direction going up more or down more. We'll have to wait to see what IWM does today. See what it does today. Let's see where it is right now though. IWM closed at 252.23 on Friday. It's currently, I thought I saw it. Sorry, it closed. Nope, it closed at 250. It's currently at 252. So it's up at 252, up a couple dollars from where it closed on Friday. Still inside day. If you see the chart, I mean, you see this candle inside would be all the way up as high as 252.67, but it's at 252.25. It could continue. The all-time high or most recent high here is 252.77. It needs to get above there in order to do what would be called a breakout, I guess. If you want to break out of the high, be above 252.77, and it's at 252.26. So it'd be good to watch and see what it does when it climbs a little bit. How does it respond to that? Can it break out, or will it reject again like these wicks have done? Will it reject again and come back down some more? But you know, IWM, one of my favorites. You have to watch. We have to watch to see what it's gonna do. Okay, so that's covered all three of the indices. I mentioned last night, I mentioned it again, copy trading does not replace my membership, and my membership does not replace copy trading. We're doing both of them. We're doing both at the same time. Copy trading is just earning. If you want to earn passive profits, you're doing that with copy trading. If you want to learn what's going on and earn then that's the membership, right? I'm calling alerts and I'm teaching inside the membership. I'm teaching trading, charting, technical analysis, that kind of thing. If all you want to do is just earn the passive, I don't want to learn nothing, or unless I just want to earn over here, that's where the copy trading is. If you want both, that's where you may put both things on. And there are many people, many people who are doing them both. They are learning in the membership, they're earning with the alerts, but they're also saying, well, shoot, if you're going to trade, because you're already trading, and I can get in on the stuff you already trading, and I can just passively collect that money too, count me in, coach, put me in. So if you are interested, come on, you can run with the link that's at the bottom of the screen. The small account growth challenge is happening within the membership. That is what's happening in there. We're growing our small accounts, just really being very focused and intentional on entries, management of our trades, as well as exits. Entry, management, and exit. Because most people can figure out when to enter a trade. Most people don't have a problem with deciding when to enter. The issues come in with when do we exit? And or how do we manage in the middle, which kind of ties into when do we exit? Do we exit when we get scared and we get shaken out because the price starts coming towards our trade and we're a little nervous, like, is it come breach? Yeah. That's management. How do we manage the trade in the middle? Do we exit? Do we wait too long? Do we exit too soon? Do we exit right before it turns around? Or do we wait till we're all the way breached and be like, well, maybe it'll turn around, then we're too late. So that's the piece where most people, and sometimes I'm people, have to make sure that we're following our guidelines. So we're honing in and tuning up that whole exiting piece. Entering, not an issue. Exiting and management is where we're working on that as a unit, as a membership. We're working on our on being laser focused and really just honing in on how can we just do this, repeat, wham, wham, wham. So that way, when we scale all the way up, we're not getting caught on the small things like that. Those small little surgical things, we're able to just run it. All right. That's all happening inside the membership. You can get a free 7-day pass in there if you want to at e2t.trading. www.e2t.trading is there. E2t.trading. You can get a free 7-day pass and come on in there and hang out with us if you'd like to see how do things function inside the membership. We're trading SPX, XSP, IWM, profitable strategy, not a whole lot of screen time unless you want a lot of screen time. It's really up to you. Daily profits. And we've got training that happens in a focused setting once a week, but I'm also there guiding and training throughout the week and all day. Pretty much I'm in the groups. I'm right there with everybody, making sure folks get what they need. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Our trader's declaration. I declare I'm a great trader, a successful trader, and a focused trader. I declare my wins exceed my losses and my account is growing steadily. I'm a wise, knowledgeable, and patient trader. I have a strategy that I use for my trades. I don't randomly place trades. I'm a level-headed trader who trades my plan and not my emotions. Speaking of plan, if you're in E2T University, tonight is the night we're going to work on trading plans. We're going to talk about creating trading plans tonight because you need to have a trading plan. Because when I say I trade my plan and you don't have one, then what you trading? You got to have a trading plan. And your trading plan changes depending on the strategy you're trading. If you're trading cash secure puts, the trading plan for that. Covered calls, trading plan for that. Credit spreads for the week, trading plan. Zero DTE, trading plan. You're buying, that's a trading plan. You're doing leaps, that's a trading plan. You're buying shares, trading plan. There's multiple. You don't have one trading plan that goes across all these different strategies. That's not how that works. You need a different trading plan for each one, right? You need a different plan that says, okay, I'm trading this as a buyer. This is the plan I'm using when I'm a buyer. Okay, that's how that goes. I wondered why you was tripping. Okay, our daily prayer. Lord, it's you who gives us the power to get wealth. Help us today to trade our strategy with wisdom and knowledge. Allow us to prosper enough to have what we need and enough to bless others. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen, amen, amen. All righty. Okay. So I've done what I was commanded to do, and yet there is room. We've got some stuff we need to look out for today. We're going to trade what's in front of us, right? We're going to do our good analysis. We don't randomly place trades. We're patient with our entry. We let the trade tell us what it's going to do, and then we enter. We don't anticipate the trade. We see what it does, and then we enter. All right. We're going to stay green. We're going to get this money, and we're going to have a great green day. All right. I will see you all in the market. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye. Trying to find the button. Bye.